And live in studio with me right now, I'm just so thrilled to have you, is the CEO and governor of the Los Angeles Lakers, Jeanie Buss.
Thanks for having me.
Such a big studio audience we brought for you today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Wow. So the team right now is about to play its third preseason game. Mm-hmm. That's really exciting. And since bringing on LeBron James, okay, everyone's wondering what's going to be going on with the Lakers. Magic Johnson was saying, you know, it's going to take a little time for a championship. Everybody wants to see a championship. They've won 3 under your, not 3, 10 under your dad.
Yes.
16 in total.
Yes.
And just this past July, you told the LA Times, what did you say to them?
We haven't done anything yet.
Yep, we haven't done anything yet. What did you mean by that?
You know, our goal is to make everybody proud, and until we're proud, you know, our work isn't done. So
what do you mean by that, Tamika? Because I'm proud. I'm proud that they're my team. Everybody loves the Lakers.
You gotta win basketball games, and you know, in our business, you're judged by how many games you win. And so we hadn't played a game yet, so I felt it was kind of to have any kind of celebration until we play the games is a little bit premature. But you know, I'm excited. I'm optimistic about what we've put together, and with Magic Johnson in charge of basketball operations, there's just been a lot of it's positive, and we have an identity. We know who we are now, and that really helps everything else fall into place.
I read that you got a text when LeBron James signed, right?
Yeah, yes.
How'd that go?
It was, I got a lot of texts when that announcement went out, but one that was, oh, you mean how we found out that he was coming? Yeah, you know, and rightfully so, when players are have earned their right to become free agents, they, you know, imagine when you come in the league, you're drafted, and you have to go to the team that drafts you, and you know, 7, 8, 9 years into their career, they get an opportunity to be a free agent for the first time, and they get to choose where they want to play, who they want to play with, and what style of basketball. And so anyway, LeBron was a free agent, and we were one of the teams that he considered. Magic Johnson had a nice meeting with him, and it was kind of left that, you know, give me a couple days and I'll let you know. And so we found out the next day, and we just got a text from his agent that said congratulations. So I knew what that was. So
Kobe was
yes.
So excited. What are we looking at? Off camera, we are looking at little Dolores. You took your friend's dog with you. Do you want to hold her for a few minutes?
As long as she's not bothering anybody.
No, she won't bother me at all.
She's a very quiet dog.
We forgot to put her on the security list. Oh, hello, Dolores. Oh, she's adorable.
Hello, Dolores.
Oh, hi,
Dolores.
Honey.
Yes.
You want to just hang for the interview?
Yeah, she'll be fine.
So,
sorry.
No, so that's okay. So it's going to take some time, right?
Yeah.
And when you said you haven't really seen anything yet, what did that mean? I mean, what else are you thinking in the back of your mind that you can tell us?
You know, what's the beauty of the way the team has been put together, this roster's been put together, is that we have a core group of young players that are, you know, have been with us 2, 3, 4 seasons, and they haven't had an opportunity to be in the playoffs yet. And that's when you finish your regular season, you know, you hope you make it to the playoffs. It's almost it's a whole different experience for them. And until you've been in the playoffs, you can't get seasoned to understand what that is and be mentally prepared.
Of course.
And so we have these young guys that haven't been in the playoffs. And then what Magic and our general manager, Rob Pelinka, did was they filled out the rest of the roster with some really great veteran players who all have playoff experience. As a matter of fact, Rajon Rondo played for the Boston Celtics
Right.
when they beat the Lakers in 2008. And so the idea that we have these guys that can mentor the young players and kind of bring this mix of experience and, veteran leadership is really, I think, really well done. And also they've signed most of them to 1-year contracts, which means that we'll have an opportunity, if we so choose, to go after free agents again next summer.
Smart.
So they've kept flexibility. They've built a roster. And what LeBron did by not only choosing to come to the Lakers, but the idea that he signed for 4 years gives us that time to build the roster around him and certainly highlight and give him the platform for all his various talents.
Yeah, well said, because that really makes a lot of sense when you said you really haven't seen anything yet.
Right.
You're building around him.
Yes.
So now you've got your platform. Let's go back 5 years.
Okay.
When your dad, Jerry, the brainchild behind all of this, passed away. And most people know, if they read about it, what's happened, with the family. Jim had to step down. You made a lot of decisions by firing people, Kupchak and others. What was that like for you?
That was a very difficult decision. When my father passed away, I don't think what people realize is he spent 10 years doing the planning and preparation. Usually an asset the size of something like the Lakers, it's very difficult to pass it to the next generation because of the inheritance taxes that have to be paid. So, there was planning done for 10 years, because what was really important to my father was that our family kept the team. And, it was really kind of, it was disciplined and it was well thought out. And what he put in place was that I would run the business side of the team, and my brother would run the basketball side of the team. My brother Jim. And, but ultimately the NBA only recognizes one owner. My dad knew that somebody had to be in charge and have the authority to make changes if necessary. And so he instilled that in me. And
at a young age too.
Yeah, and but that's what he was preparing me for. But I really felt like he knew that my brother could run the basketball. But after watching us go through, various coaches, like you can't really get anywhere in a team sport if you're changing coaches every 18 months. And especially when, we've had they were all great coaches in their own right. But what you have to have when you're a coach, you have to have players that match how you want to play the game, your style, right? And so we went from a very defensive-minded coach in Mike Brown to a very offensive coach in Mike D'Antoni, and the personnel can't change that fast because it's one coach is easy to change, but 12 players is really difficult to maneuver, and so neither got the opportunity to have the kind of players that match their style. So when Luke Walton was hired, and the team that's been put together is really fits the style of play that our coach Luke Walton wants to play, and and since the change was made, they've really turned over the roster and brought in players that match what the coach is looking for, and that those are the kind of things that you need. But making that decision about making that change was difficult, but my dad knew I could make difficult decisions, and that what he put into my heart and to my brain was that the Lakers was his pride and joy, and please don't let the Lakers falter.
So you hear his voice in your head almost every day,
absolutely,
talking to you, saying,
absolutely,
Jeanie, this is you know, this belongs to the people of California, of Los Angeles, and you want to carry on that tradition.
Right. And so, you know, everything that's been done is something that matches what he would do. Like it's easy for me because this is how
you're following literally in his footsteps.
Right.
But what was it like though? You know, you were pretty much publicly fighting with Jim and Johnny and others. That's got to be tough. So it's not just business; it's family. Are you guys talking?
You know, I guess it's when something like the Lakers is at stake, then I think it's very serious, and everybody has their own opinions. Everyone, you know, there's 6 of us total
with
siblings.
11% each.
I guess you could look at that. We really don't own anything. It's the trust,
right? Of course.
The Buss family trust that owns the team, and then we're the beneficiaries from that trust. And so, you know, it's money changes people, or, you know, people have opinions, and if you don't agree, sometimes it's too bad. I'm just doing what my father asked me to do.
How are you guys now, though? I mean, are you speaking, or are they able to understand that you did this for the right reason?
You know, I don't know if we'll ever have that kind of conversation, but
in time, maybe.
Maybe in time. I mean, my job is to, you know, make the Lakers, you know, increase the value of the asset to all the shareholders, of which, you know, the Buss family is one of the shareholders. There's others as well.
You've gotten people so excited, though, with LeBron James.
Yeah.
People are excited to go watch him play. People are excited to watch how the team's going to build around him. I think it's great. Now, your offices are down in El Segundo, right? Glass office is beautiful, overlooking where the players practice every day, right?
Yes.
That's got to be kind of fun. What do? They walk in and say, Jeanie, I got her. I mean, what's it like to be the boss of these guys?
Well, it's kind of interesting. You know, we were at a facility that was adjacent to the LA Kings hockey training center, and we weren't open to the public. We were closed, and we'd been there for almost 20 years, and we'd outgrown the space that we had to the point where we had half of our offices were in another building across a parking lot.
Tough to manage.
It's very tough, and back in 2011, 2012, Dwight Howard was a player on our team, and he came to my office and he goes, you know, I have to ask you, where are all the people? Like, where are the people that work here? And I go, oh, well, they're in a different building. And that's when it hit me that players want to know who's part of the team, like who's
not just the boss, but the people supporting the boss.
Yes,
it's a family. It's an organization. I mean, you all work together.
Yeah, and so a year ago we moved to this new facility that we own and operate. We can interact with the community there, and
it's beautiful.
We tripled the size of our space, and you know, now we're in the upper echelon of NBA practice facilities, but it also allowed us an opportunity to bring in a strategic partner in UCLA Health, which them as a naming rights sponsor of our building is so much more than just an endorsement. It is
more than a financial commitment.
Right. It's a working relationship that has provided us, you know, everybody thinks of like sports injuries as being orthopedic, you know, like a bad knee or whatever. But now the movement in professional sports is like treating the holistic person.
Treating the whole person, because you talked about, I read an article also, you talked about the mental health of
the
players.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes. You know, it's like, it's an important thing that players feel comfortable to ask for help when they need it, for the support that all of us at some point in our lives need, you know, can be overwhelmed by circumstances. And I think that it's important for not only our players, but all of our employees to know that you know, staying well mentally really translates into so much more.
Better performance.
Exactly.
Better performance, better everything.
You got it.
Yeah, but you're really on the forefront of that. Because, you know, it's got to be tough for these big guys, you know, to come in and say, I need a little help. I mean, are they using the facility for that? I mean, are they actually tapping into it?
I mean, it's like, a lot of the medical information is private,
Of
and
course.
so their privacy is respected. But we try to not only help rehab from physical injury, quicker and more efficiently, but we're always also learning how to help prevent injuries and predicting when a player is in crisis in terms of fatigue and playing back-to-back games, and really trying to anticipate before a problem starts in treating whatever's there. Because if we have a player like a Kobe Bryant where we can extend their career, their productivity, that's a great return on investment, just talking from the business side of it. But of course, the whole person is, the players are so much, they are the asset.
And they become a family to you, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Kobe was pretty incredible guy.
Yes.
Tell me about him a little bit.
Kobe, I don't think you're ever going to see a player like that again stay with one team for 20 years. The fact that he
grew up with it, though.
Yeah.
He wanted to stay as much as you wanted him to be there, right?
Yeah, he's still around. I won't let him go too far away. But certainly, as a player, he accomplished so much, and to the point where we not only retired one number, we retired both the numbers that he wore as a Laker.
8 and 24.
8 and 24. And if you took all his accomplishments just while wearing the number 8, or all his accomplishments while wearing the number 24, each of those players would qualify for the Hall of Fame. And that was just one guy.
Watching his last game, outstanding.
Yeah.
It was real. And he was in pain, and he wasn't sure he could do it. And he went out there, and what did he make, 60 points?
Yeah, and
wow, what a way to go out! That was pretty amazing. And he was so congratulatory to you when LeBron James came on board.
He
recognizes you need it.
Yeah, he has daughters, and he's very kindly allowed me to spend some time with them, because it's important to him that his daughters see strong women, doing whatever it is that they want to do.
Whatever you're motivated to do.
Yes.
Whatever you want to do.
Right.
Let's go back a little bit then. Let's get into that a little bit. As a kid, you were born in Santa Monica, raised in Pacific Palisades. You went to Pali High.
Yes, I did.
I loved reading about you a little bit. You loved going to Mort's Deli.
Yes.
When my kids were little and they'd play soccer or whatever down the street, we would always go to Mort's Deli, and we'd bring my parents, and it was just such a fun thing. It's like a little cafeteria.
Yeah.
You loved doing that. You enjoyed going to the movies. You still love going to the movies.
Yes. Well, Mort's Deli was, for the people who watched Happy Days when they were growing up, that, he was like Arnold, he was like, Mort was kind of a celebrity in our town. And, I went to Pali High. I was Miss Palisades of 1979. And, just a great place to grow up. A lot of good memories there.
1979. That was the year that your dad purchased the Lakers.
Yes.
He purchased the Great Western Forum, and he purchased the Kings for a sum of $67 million.
Yes. And
wow.
And if you kind of like broke out that whole transaction, you would kind of put a value on the Lakers at like $16 million of that total. So now, Forbes magazine came out and said the team was worth, $3 billion. So it's been a good business. My dad, but really, he was a passionate person about sports. He
was a smart real estate man.
Yeah.
He was just a smart man, a smart investor, businessman.
Yes. Yeah.
And not just real estate, but he recognized something that was valuable, and he grabbed it.
Yes, he did.
One of your first jobs was what? You ran is it called the LA Springs?
Yeah. I mean, when you own an arena, because we own the Forum, if you have a hockey team and a basketball team, you've got about 100 dates booked.
Yeah.
There's another 250 that need shows. So my dad kind of put me in charge of, he called it like orphan sports, like all the sports that, you know, might catch on. So
Yeah, but you had Chris Everett.
yeah, I mean, tennis kind of was my most successful, you know, minor sport in the building. We had the LA Strings of World Team Tennis, which is a league that Billie Jean King started, one of my mentors. And but I also did indoor volleyball, gymnastics, indoor soccer, roller hockey, you know, you name it. My dad even sent us to, me and my cohort, Linda Rambis, to Russia in the early 80s to try to negotiate with the Russian ministry to bring the circus from Moscow.
Oh, that must have been an interesting experience.
It was.
To bring the circus from Moscow?
Yeah, I mean, I was like 24 years old and he's sending me to
Wow.
Russia. This is before perestroika and all that. It was,
Wow.
And, you know, but it was funny because that, you know, we didn't accomplish that goal, but, you know, I sure learned a lot.
Well, he always had you going to meetings with him, even as a kid, right?
Yeah.
You were 14 years old.
Yes.
And you'd be attending meetings. So back then, when other kids were, you know, just doing whatever, going to Morts, I mean, you were still doing that, but you were attending meetings. Was it then that you developed a real interest in the business or in business?
Yeah, that's, you know, he inspired me to want to go into business. I always thought that, you know, the family business growing up was, you know, real estate development. And I thought that's what I would do someday. But then when kind of the focus went on to sports and entertainment, you know, he knew I was somebody that he could give a task to and that I would do whatever it took to get that done.
And there were 6 of you.
Yeah.
But he recognized that in you.
He did. Sometimes he teased me about it, that I worked too much. But you know, what I said to him was, great, now that you've given me a job, Dad, I'm going to quit school, you know, because I was going to USC. And he said, look, you can have the job, but you can't quit school. And so that, you know, I didn't really understand that motivation because I thought, oh, I have a job. What do I need to go to school for? But how education really was the thing that opened the doors for him, because he came from such a poor background that without education, he wouldn't have been able to pull himself up and accomplish the goals that he had. And I think that he valued education was kind of like a way to, give everybody an opportunity.
I mean, tell us about Dad. I mean, he grew up poor, and where did he grow up?
He grew up in Kemmer, Wyoming, and it was a tough existence for him. He actually dropped out of high school for a while, and was kind of doing odd jobs to get out. He had visited LA once when he was 10 years old, and in his mind he said, someday I'm going to go back there. And so when he was 16 and dropped out of school, he was trying to earn enough money to get back out here. And he ran into one of his high school teachers who said, you're too smart to drop out. Let me help you and I'll get you a scholarship to the University of Wyoming.
Wow.
So that teacher changed his life. He graduated with an undergraduate degree in 2 years, and then had his choice of schools to go to pursue what he eventually got his PhD in physical chemistry. And he chose USC because he wanted to come out here, and they had a really good football team. That's what he liked.
Hence the rest. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And then he got involved in real estate, and then, the rest is what was he like? I mean, I know that it was tough for you because your parents divorced when you were in high school.
Yeah.
That's tough for any kid.
There was, a time period where he was working so much it was hard. I didn't get a chance to see him, and I didn't understand growing up why other kids' dads were home, because my dad wasn't there. When I graduated from high school, I went to stay with him one summer. He was living in Bel Air.
And was that Pick Fair when he was?
Well, I stayed there for a summer, and then I was going to start at USC in the fall. And we had such a good time. He said, why don't you just live with me while you go to school? Oh. He goes, but I'm going to have to buy a bigger house. Oh. So then we started looking at houses, and he said, he called me one day and he said, okay, meet me at the Polo Lounge. We're going to have lunch, and then we're going to look at this
That's
house.
the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Yeah. And it's famous. Like, it's the cool Polo Lounge.
Still cool.
It's still cool. And so he said, we're going to go look at this house. I'm not going to buy it because it's, it's on the market for $10 million. But I thought it would be fun to look at it. And it was owned by some old movie star. And I said, we're going to go to Pickfair, the Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks estate. And he goes, yeah, that's it. So I brought my camera and I made him take a picture of me in every room because and so he put in a bid at, like less than $6 million. It was a probate sale.
Talking a long time ago, folks. That was
yes.
pretty incredible.
But it was, 3.5 acres. Like he put in a bid for what he felt the land was worth. And they approved it. And the next thing we know, we're living at Pickfair.
And I know that you used to give tours there, right?
Oh, yeah. Pickfair was a place where it was the White House of the West.
Yeah.
And Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks, you couldn't have found two bigger stars, movie stars, because they were silent film stars, which meant those films could translate into any language. And so they were.
You know what? I never really thought about that.
Yeah. And so, all the big dignitaries from all over the world wanted to come, and they would host them at Pickfair. And so this house had this history that just swallowed me up, and I became an expert on the house and on Mary Pickford, which a lot of people don't understand is that what we know today as United Artists was started by 4 artists, which were Charlie Chaplin, Douglas Fairbanks, D.W. Griffith, who was a big director, and Mary Pickford. So she was really one of the very first strong female.
And you related to her.
I feel like I am, but it was just by happenstance.
Well, you're like the Mary Pickford of basketball.
Okay, I'll take that. I would take that any day. I adore her. She never had children. I don't have children. So yeah, I guess I can relate to her in so many different ways, but she's an inspiration for me.
But he was such a larger than life character, your dad.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yes.
What was that like? I mean, especially as you were a little older and he would show up at the Lakers. And I remember being at the Lakers in one of the suites, and he would come walking down the hallway with a bevy of people surrounding him, and he was just one of those guys, know?
He, my dad could make a good time anywhere. He just was one of those people that had, he was positive, he was charming, charismatic, and people gravitated to be around him.
Well, he wanted to share what he did. He was so happy and proud of it, right? The
yes.
Lakers was
yes, yeah. That's exactly a great way to put it. He wanted to share his joy and his passion with everybody.
I mean, I really admire you, because it's tough enough to lose a parent, because I know. And then tough enough to be thrown into running the family business, and then having all sorts of, issues with family and running the business. But look at where you are now. Pretty incredible.
I'm just doing what my dad asked me to do. It's incredibly simple. It's, he instilled a passion and a pride in me, and really what the Lakers can mean to a community. And, Los Angeles is a diverse, spread out city, and the purple and gold is a flag that everybody can get behind and be proud of, and I take that seriously, and I feel that really the Lakers are owned by the fans, and we're just the people that manage it on their behalf. And
thank you.
I mean, it was hard. My dad ran the team for over 30 years and only missed the playoffs twice, and we've been out of the playoffs for 5 seasons now, and this is not territory that I'm used to or Laker fans are used to. So that's why we're hoping that LeBron coming and joining us, choosing to be part of what we're building, really is inspiring.
I know you can't mention names ever, or even what you're thinking, but since he's sort of the you want to build a good team, build an award-winning championship team around him. Do you eye players? Are you looking at people's contracts and thinking, I mean, is that your job every day, or Magic, or how do you guys work together?
You know, Magic is the visionary of how this team is going to be put together. And however he does it, whether it's through trades or the draft or through free agency, I know that, you know, it's great working with him because he and I are so similar. My dad spent a lot of time with him. You know, Magic's only, 2 years older than me.
Yeah,
so
you guys are very friendly.
Yeah, when
you needed help, you called him.
Yes,
right away. Yeah.
And he's always there. And he was raised by my dad in some respects because he wanted to learn about the business. He wanted to understand what it was like on my dad's side of the team. And so, bringing him back to be part of the Lakers, I know his agenda is exactly the same as mine, which is to make the Lakers something that Dr. Buss would be proud of. And so we align perfectly, and I think that you're seeing that, and that's why somebody, the best player in the game today, would choose to come here, because he knows what we're doing, and he knows that we're putting in the resources and the efforts to accomplish those goals.
Very often owners are hands off. Are you very much involved in the decisions with Magic and the general manager? I mean, are you in there rolling up your sleeves, or do they report to you, or how does that work?
I've empowered Magic to make those decisions. So my faith is in Magic, and however he wants to accomplish what he set out to do, I really leave it to him, and he's done a great job in a short amount of time.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have a favorite player or players?
There's been so many generations of players.
Yes, that's right.
Certainly my Magic is my favorite, and Kobe. I mean, it's hard for me to choose between the two of them, but there's been players like Lamar Odom, Derek Fisher, Kurt Rambis, Luke Walton. I mean, there's been so many great players that I've gotten to know in ways outside of just basketball, and I'm so proud of all of their accomplishments off the court as well.
What would you like to tell people about these players, because they're larger than life, literally, and it's almost like looking at movie stars on the screen. They're just larger than life. What are they like, many of them, off the court?
I think people would be amazed at how talented they are. Hardworking, dedicated, bright, intelligent, sensitive. There was a movie that came out this summer called Uncle Drew. Shaquille O'Neal. I haven't even mentioned Shaquille and all these great players. I love Shaq. Yes, he's in the film along with a lot of other former players, to the point where after I watched the movie, I had to look up to see who they were, because the performances, I thought they were actors, and between Kyrie Irving and now like all the names are escaping me, Reggie Miller, these guys. Talent is talent is talent. They can perform on the court, and they can do so many other things outside of it as well.
A lot of them are very philanthropic. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I also want to say, this year you've been nominated and called all sorts of incredible things. Forbes magazine called you the 8th most powerful woman in sports. Of course, to me, you're the #1 most powerful woman in sports with the Lakers. But it'd be great to have more of us, more women out there running this. It's, you're quite an inspiration to so many people.
Thank you. I mean, I'm honored that Forbes would give me such an honor. But to me, the most powerful women in sports are the women who stood up at the ESPYs and, fought against, Larry Nassar, who, and had to come forward in order to make that change. And those are the powerful women, because power is about influencing and changing. And certainly I am happy to be called a role model, but I don't really think of myself that way. But I know what it meant to me to see women in in positions of power and influence. And if I can, inspire the next generation, then I'm glad to be called a role model.
Well, it's really interesting. Is one of your inspirations, other than Billie Jean King, ran the Great Western Forum,
Yes.
and then many years later, you owned it.
Right.
Or Dad did, at least.
Right.
That's really something.
Yes. Claire Rothman, who ran the forum starting in the late 60s, which was, talk about a woman unheard of, a woman in a great power position who I was lucky enough to have mentor me for so many years, working with her every day. And, she really made it. It wasn't like, oh, here's the female manager. She was the manager. It didn't matter if she was, what gender she was. She was just great at her job.
It didn't, but it was an anomaly having women in charge of stuff. Even like way back, Billie Jean King was one of your people that inspired you.
Yes.
There weren't even lots and lots of women playing tennis. It was always the guys. When you think back, it was just actually a few decades that women weren't really playing or running much of anything. So we've really come a long way, right?
And there's like a Jennifer Capriati. She's a top ranked tennis player a few years ago, and she was doing an interview where they brought up Title IX because Title IX allowed women to compete in all sports in high school, college, and they brought up Title IX to her, and she said she didn't know what that was, or she wasn't familiar with it, and people were kind of shocked by that comment. But in some ways, I like the idea that she as a young person didn't know it was any different. What do you mean, like men and women were equal? They had to pass a amendment to the Constitution to say that women should be treated equal. What? And that is the dream, is really to have this generation where they don't have to think twice about whether there's any hurdle standing in my way other than the work that I put in.
It's finally happening.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there were not a lot of female newscasters, even. And it would be like, oh, guys just out there telling you the news.
Right.
And I would think, I don't relate to you. I don't really, I would. They'd say, he's so authoritative. And I would say, okay, but where's the girl out there? And I'm just glad when I turn on the television, there's more women out there doing it. There's women in sports. There's women running sports. And it's hopefully, like you said, a natural evolution.
Yeah.
Where we get to the point where it just is.
Yeah, you're not about gender. You're just about who you are as a person.
Yeah. What do you do in your off time? I know you love the movies.
I try to go to the movies every weekend, and it's important to me because that is the industry of our community. Is we're the movie capital of the world, and we should stay that way.
So you actually show up at the movies.
Yes, and I think everybody should try to go to the movies. At least once a week, twice a month, whatever they can.
It's an event, right?
Yes.
You go there and you buy your popcorn or whatever it is you want to buy, and it's just a little event as opposed to sitting on your couch.
Yep.
I'm kind of with you. I like going to the movies.
Me
it's
too.
fun. There's certain theaters that are even more fun. They're becoming
Absolutely.
super comfy and cushy. So you love going to the movies. What else?
Yeah, I just saw last weekend an animated film called Smallfoot, which is LeBron James is a voice in that, and so that was kind of cool. Do you
have time for anything else other than a 2-hour movie?
I'm just blessed. I have there's just so many great things in LA that, I do put in a lot of hours at work, but I love it. And so many of my, the people I work with are also my friends and my family. I have 2 younger brothers, Jeanie Buss, who is in charge of our scouting. He's head of our scouting department and has really found us some great players with really late picks in the first and second round. And then my brother Joey Buss is running our G League team, which is our minor league affiliate that
grooming them.
We're grooming them, exactly.
How about your sister?
My sister is in charge of the Laker Youth Foundation, and she also recently got into the horse racing business, which is we grew up going to the horse races. We've always been big fans of that, and so she's having fun, getting involved with the horses too.
My big claim to fame once, I picked 5 out of the 5 winners out of 6 races. For
the pick 6, that's pretty good.
Pretty good. I was so proud of myself, and everybody's like, exactly how did you do that? Because I know you don't really follow racing. I said, I just sort of tallied up. I was very good at statistics, so I would tally it all up, and I would say, that's the guy. And they're like, how do you know this stuff? I said, I don't know. I really should go.
That's the analytics like that people talk about. But in horse racing, it's handicapping. It's looking at the stats and picking winners. And that's what you did.
Wow. So, philanthropically, I know that you do quite a bit. Tell me a little bit about that. Giving back.
Yeah, the Laker Youth Foundation has the mission statement of, supporting the youth of Southern California, with, reading materials, education materials, as well as basketball, promoting the game of basketball to kids in this market. And, it's a team sport. It gives you all the right tools to get along with as you grow up. Learning how to play a team sport is so important. Yeah. But, there's so many different groups that we work with the Lakers. We try to support there's a lot of need in our community.
So much. Yeah. So much. It's outstanding. Just driving down the street. And my heart always goes out to the veterans and so many of the homeless people we have. We all know it's getting worse. And just getting back to what you're talking about with mental health, I mean, we really need to reach them on the inside of what is happening. Because it's great to provide food and shelter, but there's something else. It's just going to constantly keep them there. I don't have an answer for it, but there is such a need in this city.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, I think, people working together, we can, it's just like kind of what the Lakers stand for on the court. When you work together, then magic happens. You can achieve things that you didn't think possible on your own. And so, we work with groups like the Salvation Army, the Boys and Girls
Club. You were given the Sally Award from the Salvation Army.
I was very honored by that. And, just trying to do what we can. And Kobe Bryant has really stepped into, trying to help the homeless population of Los Angeles, because that is something that's important to him as well.
You're single?
I'm single, yes.
What was it like working with Phil? It's got to be really tough. You're working side by side with the boyfriend.
Phil Jackson has been an inspiration for me. We were fortunate enough to. That's how we met, was through work. My dad hired him as the coach of the Lakers in 1999. And, I didn't know anything about him. And he came to the Lakers. He was going through a divorce. And he's somebody who's had a lot of influence on me and how I see the game, how I see the people who play the game, and how important it is that, this is a good example. It's better than me explaining it. At Thanksgiving, Phil would always make the players come in and practice. And I said, can't you give them a day off? It's like, during the season, they have to travel so much. Why don't you just let them have Thanksgiving off? And he goes, they'll have plenty of time to get home and have Thanksgiving dinner with their family, but they have to learn that this is their family too, and that we need to be together on Thanksgiving. So, he kind of, had the heart of the business. I think that's why he's been so successful as a coach. Being able to
dated for many years.
Many years, yes. Like, we were together 15 years.
Are you still in touch?
Oh, yeah, we're still in touch. And, I think he mentored our coach, Luke Walton. He's somebody that at any time would lend an ear and give his opinion or input. He's a very dear friend, and a lot of the design elements that went into our new facility come from him. We actually have a room that's adjacent to our locker room that's called a quiet space, and so a player, if they need to take a mental break, if they need to take a nap, if they just need to, be alone, get away from the chaos, they can go into this soundproof room.
That's kind of
just
cool.
kind
I
of
need
chill
one
out.
of them.
Exactly. We all should have one
So
of
they're all
those.
alone, and then what do they do? Are they waiting outside the door, knocking? Are you done yet, LeBron? Get out.
I don't know how they use it, but I knew that, just listening to Phil and what he went through with the players, that's a space. You have to respect people's spaces, and everybody's different, and everybody processes conflict and all that differently.
Okay, something that a lot of people don't know about you. You dabble in comedy, right?
Well, yeah.
Can we show that clip? Why don't you set it up?
This is I have this hobby that I decided on my bucket list was I wanted to learn how to be a little bit funnier, which you actually can learn how to be funny.
You are funny.
I could be better, but so there's this great class called Pretty Funny Women.
I've taken it. She was on the show, and that's how I got to know her.
She's the
Just
best.
so you know, and that's how I got to know her. And then I did the whole thing at Flappers also, and I
Did
became
you?
such a hit. They've called me back. So just so you know, yep.
Did you love it? Were you shocked at your own ability?
Well, this is really weird, and I know you'll understand this. I am fine in front of a camera, but when it's a live audience, I will choke up. I was truly, truly nervous. And I have a feeling you're probably the same way. This is very comfortable. You don't have to talk back to that thing. But, right? I was terrified.
I'm terrified still.
I think I was okay, but they called me back maybe because I brought a lot of friends. I don't know.
That's good.
Anyway, let's play this. She was great, Lisa.
Hi guys, I'm Lisa Sunstedt, the Madam of Comedy, and I'm sitting here with Jeanie Buss. Everyone's talking about Lebron. What is he like? Who? LeBron James?
No, LeBron James.
Okay. LeBron, tomatoes. I was watching some clips of him, and I was pretty blown away. He's amazing in Trainwreck.
He's one of the few basketball players that can act, and he does a great job, and we're so lucky that he joined us this year.
Well, I mean, he's so lucky to work with Amy Schumer. I mean, really.
Yeah.
And so you work with magic.
Yes.
And I know you can't give away magician's codes, but tell me, how did they saw the woman in half?
It's actually Irvin Johnson is his real name, and Magic is his nickname because the way he played basketball, it looked like magic.
He's a person.
He's a person. He's not a magician. I've never seen him do.
I'm so sorry. When a player makes a basket, it's 2 points.
Yes, 2 points.
I knew that. When he chucks it from far away, it's 3 points.
That's right. Very good.
So when he slam dunks it, how many points?
It's only 2 points.
Can you change it to 5?
No. No.
Well, it just seems very impressive.
You know what? Next week in New York are the owners' meetings. I'll bring it up.
Oh, thank you.
I'll ask them.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Okay, last question. Can I get floor seats?
Did you enjoy that? Did you love doing comedy? No, you did like an open mic night, right?
I did, and I mean, it's terrifying, but as you have to push yourself, and
but when you show up and it's Jeanie Buss, I mean, isn't the whole place going like, wait, is it that Jeanie Buss, like her, right? I mean, come on, everybody knows who you are.
And I think that everybody, humor is one of those great tools that we can use to kind of diffuse conflict, try to build bridges, and I think that everybody could use a little bit more laughter in their lives, and finding the humor in situations really helps sometimes deal with things that seem insurmountable, and it I'm proud that I did it. I'm not quitting my day job.
You're good. Are you going to go out and do it again? I know tonight, right? You said the entire graduating class is going to be performing.
Yeah.
But you couldn't go because you've got to be with the team.
Yeah, it's actually
that day
tomorrow.
job.
Yeah, it's tomorrow at
tomorrow.
Flappers, and I won't be with my class, but I'm thinking about them. But I'm going to pick up the class again when I know I can participate.
I told her I was going to do the same thing because it was very hard for me half the time to participate and go to the class.
Yeah.
You know, she was very patient with me. So thanks, Lisa. Thanks
Thank you,
very much.
Lisa.
So really quickly before I let you go, what's a typical day like? You get up, you go for a run. I mean, what do you do? And then you go to the office and you got long days.
You know, I really need to work out more. And the days do seem long. I think this past year when I made the change with my brother and bringing in Magic, I really decided that I would be there every day to help him because he's a rookie in that job. And now that, we've got a season behind us, he's put together a great team, a competitive team. I think now I can start easing up a little bit and start working out again and playing with dogs.
Do you go to every game?
I don't have to go to every game. I want to go to every game.
I'll take your ticket. If you can't go.
There you go.
No, really, it's really not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's the players. It's funny because when there's people who are like, I can't watch. It's too nerve-wracking. It's like, no. The players love it when you watch. They love being in this competition. Don't turn away.
Athletes think that way.
Yes.
The tougher it is, the more they get in there. One of my kids is an athlete. I get it. I was an athlete as a kid. I get it. You get in there even more. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, and Laker fans are the best because they're loud and they know what good basketball is, and they'll hold you accountable if you do something that's even if you're a Laker and you're taking a shortcut, they don't appreciate that. But when they're there and the fans are loud and connecting, they are the secret weapon for our Laker team.
2 more questions. What can we expect from the Lakers this year?
It's hard for me to like talk those expectations, but
I know.
But really really making the playoffs is what I'm hoping, and once you're in the playoffs, then anything can happen. And when you have the best player in the league on your team, just let him go.
Is he mentoring a lot of the other players? I mean, how does that work when you've got a guy like him on the team?
He's a great leader. He
Yeah,
really is. He's very thoughtful. He does things with purpose. And what he did by opening a school in his hometown in Ohio was
Cincinnati,
really admirable, because what he does is he sets the bar for his peers to do similar things in their community. And that's what I love about the NBA. We have players who are active and, stand up for what they believe in.
And for women out there, young girls, women of all ages, it's women of all ages, by the way, not that just the young girls. What do you say to them if they want to get back into the workforce, for example? That's tough.
Yeah.
Young people who are going to school to study business, any bit of advice you'd give them?
Be prepared, hustle, do the things that you know that you're capable of, and you will be recognized. Talent will rise.
Well, also you said be prepared. I mean, you just really do have to show up and be prepared, and maybe 9 times out of 10, because that's how it happens to me, maybe it just doesn't work out. But then you try for the 10th and the 11th.
Right.
Isn't that true? There is something to perseverance.
Yes, absolutely. And take every opportunity that you get. It may not seem like the path that you wrote out, but like everything that leads you to something else. Be open, listen, put it out in the universe, and believe in yourself and live up to the expectations you have on you.
It's been so great to interview you. Anything else you'd like to add? I could talk to you for hours.
Thank you. This has been great. I really appreciate it.
I've really, really enjoyed it very much. You're an inspiration to me. You really are.
Thank you.
You just have the most badass job, to be able to watch the players every day. I just love watching them. I think they are so athletic and so hardworking. And I'm often stunned when I'm at a game, and I just can't take my eyes off each and every one of them because there's such skill in everything they do.
They are.
And to be able to overlook that every day and just see what's going on and the way you've turned the business around, it's on such a positive, road right now. Your dad would be very proud.
Thank you. I mean, that means so much to me to even think about that. And he's my inspiration every day. And I think as an owner in a team, I think it's like, what's important is what your job is to give the talent, the players, that all the tools and the opportunity and the platform to be the best they can be. And I'm watching just in awe of the work that they're doing, and hopefully that will all translate into a visit to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I can't wait. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for bringing Dolores. Do you want to hold up little Dolores? This is your friend's dog. She's been very quiet and just joined us for the interview. I think she's
shy.
She is just precious.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you at the game. And thanks everybody for joining us for a really fun edition for me of Deborah Kobylt Live. You can see our show on Facebook, YouTube, IGTV, and you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts and on iHeartRadio. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.